wildfire rages through the grasslands, 3 lions and 3 wildebeest flee for their lives. To escape the inferno, they must cross over to the left bank of a crocodile-infested river. Fortunately, there happens to be a raft nearby. It can carry up to 2 animals at a time and needs at least 1 lion or wildebeest on board to row it across the river. There's just one problem. If the lions ever outnumber the wildebeest on either side of the river, even for a moment, their instincts will kick in and the results won't be pretty. That includes the animals in the boat when it's on a given side of the river. What's the fastest way for all 6 animals to get across without the lions stopping for dinner? If you feel stuck on a problem like this, try listing all the decisions you can make at each point and the consequences each choice leads to. For instance, there are 5 options for who goes across first: 1 wildebeest, 1 lion, 2 wildebeest, 2 lions, or 1 of each. If 1 animal goes alone, it'll just have to come straight back. And if 2 wildebeest cross first, the remaining 1 will immediately get eaten, so those options are all out. Sending 2 lions, or 1 of each animal, can actually both lead to solutions in the same number of moves. For the sake of time, we'll focus on the second one. 1 of each animal crosses. Now, if the wildebeest stays and the lion returns, there will be 3 lions on the right bank. Bad news for the 2 remaining wildebeest. So we need to have the lion stay on the left bank and the wildebeest go back to the right. Now we have the same 5 options, but with 1 lion already on the left bank. If 2 wildebeest go, the one that stays will get eaten. And if 1 of each animal goes, the wildebeest on the raft will be outnumbered as soon as it reaches the other side. So that's a dead end, which means that at the 3rd crossing, only the 2 lions can go. 1 gets dropped off, leaving 2 lions on the left bank. The 3rd lion takes the raft back to the right bank, where the wildebeest are waiting. What now? Well, since we've got 2 lions waiting on the left bank, the only option is for 2 wildebeest to cross. Next, there's no sense in 2 wildebeest going back, since that just reverses the last step. And if 2 lions go back, they'll outnumber the wildebeest on the right bank. So 1 lion and 1 wildebeest take the raft back, leaving us with 1 of each animal on the left bank, and 2 of each on the right. Again, there's no point in sending the lion-wildebeest pair back, so the next trip should be either a pair of lions or a pair of wildebeest. If the lions go, they'd eat the wildebeest on the left, so they stay, and the 2 wildebeest cross instead. Now we're quite close, because the wildebeest are all where they need to be, with safety in numbers. All that's left is for that 1 lion to raft back and bring his fellow lions over one by one. That makes 11 trips total, the smallest number needed to get everyone across safely. The solution that involves sending both lions on the first step works similarly and also takes 11 crossings. The 6 animals escape unharmed from the fire just in time and begin their new lives across the river. Of course, now that the danger's passed, it remains to be seen how long their unlikely alliance will last.
Lines up 10 prisoners facing one direction in the increasing height order. He then randomly places either red hat or blue hat on each prisoner's head. A prisoner can see the color of hats of all the prisoners in front of him, but he cannot see his own hat nor hats of the prisoners standing behind him. Starting from the last prisoner in the line, the jailer is going to ask the prisoner the color of his own hat. If he answers correctly, he is saved and he can leave the jail. But if he gives a wrong answer, then he will be executed. His answer must either be red or blue. No other keywords are allowed in the answer. Also, any indication like whistling or staying silent will lead to the execution of all the prisoners. The same procedure will be repeated for all the prisoners. The jailer Being a logical and rational person realizes there is no way that the last prisoner can answer his own hat color correctly with 100% surety. So he announces that if all the remaining 9 prisoners answer their own hat color correctly, the last prisoner will also be released along with them, even if he answers incorrectly. Before being lined up, the prisoners are allowed to discuss a strategy to develop a plan for their survival. What would be their strategy to make sure that all of them survive? The prisoners will come up with a strategical rule that if the last prisoner sees an even number of red hats in front of him, then he calls out red. And for the odd number of red hats, he calls out blue. This is a message that's passed to all the prisoners in front of him for further calculation. We'll quickly see 2 cases to generalize the calculation formula. Case 1, where prisoner 10 sees even number of red hats, so he calls out red. Prisoner 9 also sees even number of red hats in front, which makes him conclude that he himself is not wearing a red hat, so he can confidently call out blue. Case 2. Prisoner 10 sees even red count, so he calls out red. But prisoner 9 sees an odd number of red hats, which is not equal to the parity of the message that came from the prisoner behind him, and he calls out red. So the generic formula is, if the parity of message from behind is equal to the parity of red hat count in front, then prisoner is wearing a blue hat. And if the parities are not equal, he is wearing a red hat. Let's quickly solve it for all the prisoners. Prisoner 10 sees even red count, so he calls out red, and hence the parity of message is even. Prisoner 9 also sees even count of red hats in front of him, which is equal to the parity of the message. Prisoner 9 calls out blue. Prisoner 8 sees odd count of red hats, which doesn't match with the message, so with the help of formula he calls out red. For prisoner 7, the calculated message from behind is message minus actual red hat calls so far, so even -1 gives odd parity, and that's not equal to the parity of red hat count that he sees in front, so he calls out red. For prisoner 6, the calculated message is message minus actual red hat calls so far, even -2 gives even parity, which is equal to the parity of red hat count he sees in front, so he calls out blue. Prisoner 5 and 4 calculates exactly the same way as that of prisoner 6, so they both call out blue. Prisoner 3 has calculated message of even parity, but he sees odd parity in front. As per formula, he calls out red. For prisoner 2, the calculated message is even -3 that gives odd parity, which is equal to the parity that he sees in front, so he calls out blue. Finally, prisoner 1 has a message of odd parity. He sees 0 red hats in front of him, and 0 is an even parity number. Since these two values don't match, he calls out red. So with this strategy, they can make sure at least 9 of them answer correctly, and they all will be allowed to leave the jail. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and share the video, and if you are new, please subscribe to my channel and stay updated with new logic every week. Till then, stay happy, stay cool, and stay logical.